we tend to have anywhere from around 50,000 to 100,000 thoughts per day. That is a whole lot of thinking. And for many of us, a lot of those thoughts aren't very nice. They tend to be things that reinforce what we believe about who we are. The things that kind of tell us that we're not good enough, that we're never going to be successful, maybe even that healing is impossible. Reminders of all the things that you think that make you a bad person. But there is something that we can do, a practice that can not only go a long way in changing that, but I think is the key to changing that. Welcome. I'm Peggy Oliveira. Thanks so much for being here. So, what is this thing? What is this practice? Some of you are not going to be surprised to hear me say this, but it's really such an imperative part. It is such a necessary part for our healing, for us to be able to let go, dismantle all those lies that we have said to ourselves over the years about who we believe we are, to getting to a place where we are able to really see and trust in the truth of who we are, that we are worthy, that we are enough, no matter what, even when we're making mistakes. Because it's not about perfection. It's not about never doing anything wrong, never failing in something, not having room to improve on things. It's about being able to recognize the truth of those things, acknowledge the mistakes that we've made without going to that self-hatred, to that self-blame and anger towards ourselves. And that is self-compassion. I know I talk about it a lot, and there's probably some of you that are just wanting to shut this video off or not listen any longer, and maybe even rolling your eyes a little bit. But I talk about this over and over again because through my work and even my own experience, just really recognizing the importance, but also how it actually works in practice. Seeing people incorporate self-compassion more and witnessing the shifts that it creates in how they feel and what they believe about who they are, how they show up in the world. And so today, I want to share with you a very specific practice. So this might be a video that you save and come back to later, but I would encourage you you can go ahead and listen now and kind of get a little bit of a preview of what you'll be doing. But I'd like you to really create an opportunity. So the spaciousness, energetically, time-wise, and even the environment that you're in, a space where you can feel like you can take a few moments to be with yourself and listen and breathe. Get your journal or some way to write some things down, because I am going to actually walk you through a practice from Deeply Rooted, the journal that I wrote a few years ago, whatever, for cultivating self-compassion. So most of you have probably seen this, but this is Deeply Rooted. And it is really a guided journal. You could think of it as a workbook even, to help really begin or deepen your practice of self-compassion, getting a sense of what that really means and what it feels like. Because the more that we can practice self-compassion in our daily lives, the more healing we experience. Another thing that I talk a lot about is shame. And self-compassion is the antidote to shame. It I truly believe that. So pause if you need to, save this and come back later if you need to. But join me as I guide you through one of the practices in Deeply Rooted. So as you kind of just settle in, I'd encourage you to, hopefully you do have a journal or at least the ability to just take some time. This won't be a particularly long practice, but the more present you're able to be, the more you will gain from it. So just kind of settle in. Hopefully you're in a position that allows you to relax a little bit, to feel maybe a little bit of a sense of ease in your body. And just make sure you're breathing fully. And what I'd like you to do is just listen. So I'm going to read the text part of this, and then I will encourage you to take some time and journal, or at least reflect if you're not able to journal. And I'm not going to take a lot of time in this particular episode for you to do a whole lot of writing, but feel free to pause it at the time that I suggest that you start writing. Take as much time as you want. Let your mind just kind of go, and then return. So I do want you to return afterward. So just settle in and listen. Most of us find it quite natural to experience a sense of compassion for those around us, even for strangers. However, when we think about ourselves, our struggles or mistakes, the energy of our thoughts often shifts to criticism or judgment. We hear a disappointed, angry, or critical voice in our head. Sometimes it's our own, sometimes a replay of someone else's voice, berating us for a perceived flaw. Sometimes it's so automatic we may not notice there is a voice at all, though its impact is present in our mind, body, or heart. Feeling badly about who we are, what we've done, or what's possible for our lives, or maybe even reinforcing an idea of what's impossible for our lives. Take a few moments to reflect on the phrases you use to judge yourself. While there can be different ones depending on the situation, we often tend to have a few we use regularly in a variety of situations. The following are just a few examples of how it may sound. I can't believe I did that. I should know better than to. That's what I get for. Who am I kidding? I could never. I'll never be. What thoughts, feelings, or reactions came up as you listened? What thoughts, ideas, or beliefs do you tend to repeat? Is there anything that surprised you? Take a moment to check in with your body. What do you notice? Now, for an exercise, a practice to connect with self-compassion. Write an apology to your inner child for being so unkind to her or him. Check in with your body again, and what do you notice after getting that prompt for writing that letter? What do you notice present? Those 50 to 100,000 words a day, that you are saying to yourself, many of which are hurtful, self-blaming, critical. It's like you're yelling at that inner child within you every time. You deserve your compassion. So maybe pause, take a little bit of time, or maybe just when you're done with this video, give yourself the space to write this letter. It's possible that a lot may come up for you. If so, please make sure to connect with somebody that you feel is supportive of you. This is not an easy practice. There might be a lot of resistance in doing it. There may be a lot of emotion that comes up. Connection is a really important part of healing as well. So I encourage you to connect with somebody in a space that helps you feel supported, that you matter, that you are enough. And to close the practice, inhale self-compassion. Exhale self-judgment. Inhale understanding. Exhale self-blame. And just notice what is present for you. Where have your thoughts gone? What do you notice happening in your body? Let yourself just be in this moment, connecting within, and know that you deserve compassion. You deserve understanding and grace, just like everybody that you care about does as well. Think about how often you show and express that to other people. How easy it might be for you to forgive somebody because you understand, because you recognize that there might be something going on with them and you want to be there to support them. You feel maybe even some sadness that they're struggling in some way. You are no different. You deserve that too. And most of the reinforcement, particularly in our adult lives, that reinforces shame, doubt, unworthiness, believing that we're undeserving, that comes from those 50 to 100,000 thoughts that we have per day. Reinforcing those ideas, whether it's saying to yourself, I'm not good enough, or replaying situations that you've interpreted, that you've taken as evidence that you're not enough. That is not true. But the thoughts that we have, those 50,000 thoughts, those thoughts are based on what we believe deep at our core about who we are. And when we struggle with unworthiness, believing that we're not enough, believing that we're weak or a failure, the thoughts that we're having because of those beliefs. And then those thoughts reinforce those beliefs. So when you can replace some of those thoughts, or at least add to the 50,000 thoughts with some thoughts that are compassionate and understanding, you begin to create more capacity so that you can hold the truth that you are enough, that you are worthy. And over time, those thoughts push out the negative, hateful types of thoughts that we have about who we are. You are deserving of your own compassion. And the more that you can practice being compassionate with yourself, the more healing you will experience. I'd love for you to connect with me. Share what came up for you. Maybe even share what came up in your letter. Or even some resistance maybe you had to the letter. I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.